that we saw. And the patient's basically got prostate cancer. And one of the things that we learned is that, he had prostate cancer, and then thereafter, had a pretty reasonable Gleason score. But then a few years later, it was noticed that he had a meningioma, and he became unresponsive over a few days. And now he is sort of, he was unresponsive. It was thought that he had a seizure, and it was noted that he had some edema in the brain right here. What's interesting about this is that, these are thought to be extraaxial, but he still has some edema in the brain in the left temporal lobe area. So it's interesting because I asked for an MRI, especially in an Indian hospital, just to get further delineation on this, and we're just waiting. But this is one of those situations where the patient was actually taken off of oxygen without our consent or the family's consent, and then put back on it. So it's very important, especially in India, to really keep an eye, or secondary eye, on what's going on and get a second opinion. It's absolutely important because you have people that are usually managing these cases that may not have the same neurological background, and they may think that these things are life-threatening, and patient could have just been put on Keppra and maybe some steroids, and then a neurosurgeon could have been consulted, and that could probably extend life. It's not an end-of-life situation from the beginning. Why the patient was on oxygen was really kind of not understood. Further testing isn't pursued, and it's one of the many cases that, especially in India, that is sort of nebulous that we go through, is that we don't get, I don't feel like it's as thorough as my experience in America, and maybe it's because of resources, but also at the same time, even simple tests can help, and sometimes those aren't done, and maybe it's because of just thorough stress on the system that's there. This is just a real big learning experience for me, as far as understanding that, even, if you expect the patient will be there in the same place in the afternoon, that they were in the morning, may not be true. And sometimes the story is also not related. Not that that doesn't happen, in the West also, I'm sure, it does, but it just doesn't happen as often. Or, usually there's a methodical thought process behind it because of the controls. When you have a population of 1 billion people, or 1.2 billion, I think it's 1.4 billion now, sometimes managing and caring for those people and the time constraints may not allow for as thorough management, or the processes haven't been put in place to be able to manage such large volumes of people, especially in a hospital. So this is one thing that I learned, is that, second opinions are always helpful, especially if you're in the hospital in an Indian setting.